Alright, so we're going to do a pepper review on the CGN 19198. Now this pepper doesn't have any cultivar name to it. It's just named CGN 19198, and that's all there is to it. It's the Eximium, as I stated earlier in an earlier part of the video, which I kind of went over the plant in that video. So we're not really going to go over the plant in this video. But we're at a point now where it finally put out a bunch of peppers, and I do see one that is ready, but there are quite a few on this plant. Now this plant, I don't know if I stated it in the earlier part of the video, but this plant had put out thousands of flowers. And when I say thousands, I'm not exaggerating. I'm literally mean thousands of flowers. And during the hotter part of the summer, it just started dropping all the flowers and no fruits were coming out of it. It wasn't until things cooled down a little bit and the light started to back off is when the flowers actually started turning into fruits. And so now there's quite a bit of fruits on the plant. So let me just show you what they look like on the plant. Well, it's going to be kind of hard to show you because they're so small and they're mingled with all the other plants. But here's the top of the plant. Here's what the fruit looks like. All right, and they're all over the place. There's some here. Here's a green one. There's one there, and they're everywhere. This plant literally grew up and spread itself all the way across. This thing's got to be, I mean, width-wise, this thing's got to be about 4 to 5 feet wide. It's literally spread itself from that end all the way to that end. I mean, it's everywhere, and it goes all the way up to here. It's way past the steel. I'll try to zoom you in on some of that. All of that is all this plant, the Eximium. So this plant got quite big and it produced quite a few pods. Like I said, at one point I was dropping all flowers and I was like, this thing ain't going to produce any pods. So I really started to get concerned because I want to save seeds to it now that it's beginning to climatize. But I do there's a few that are starting to get ready, but there's no need for me to climb all over the place and dig them out. All we're going to do is taste test the one, and there's one right here. And we'll pick this one right there. You see that one. So that one's ready. There's also another one in here that's really, really tiny. It's a little red dot. I'm trying to look for it now. And I don't see it. I'll probably see it once I'm done with the camera. But it's really tiny, so these things can ripen, pea-sized all the way down to the size of a head of a pin. So there are a few on here that are about the size of a head of a pin that are actually ripe, and those are the ones I'm looking for, and I can't see them now. But as I examine the area more, I notice them. So, but they're not generally noticeable unless you're really looking for them, So, all right, let's pick this one. And you can see the calyx is got like a very distinct pattern to it. The calyx it looks like that. It's stringy like, and I would imagine this is going to be a hot pepper. And let's see, you can see there's a little bit of blushing on the pepper itself, a little bit of purple blushing on it. So that's what it looks like, and we'll try to describe that flavor of that tiny little pepper. Now you can see in perspective how small it is. It's not a very big pepper. It's a very tiny little pearl pepper, if you want to call it that, or a little bead pepper. It's just very, very tiny. All right, so let's turn it around and give it a go. All right, guys, so here it is. That's it right there. And that is our CGN 19198. And it's quite tiny. And is quite beautiful of a pepper. So I will be getting seeds this year from this. Looks like I'll get enough where I can actually offer some of these on my website. So hopefully I do get a good harvest from it and I'm able to offer them on a website. So let's get right into it. Well, straight out the gate, I just want to try to point this out. That little tiny little pepper had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It had 7 seeds, very large seeds in it. That entire pepper, the inside of it was all seeds, literally. Here's the seeds here, if you could see them on my finger. It had 7 of them. These are like full-size pepper seeds. So it's unbelievable. It had a little bit of a flavor. It tasted a little bit like a berry, but it had a little bit of a soapy flavor to it, so that was probably the capsaicin in it. And it did have its own unique flavor, which was kind of interesting. I don't have another one to test for me to tell you what to really try and taste test and try to describe that flavor a little more. But the flavor was very light. It wasn't strong in flavor, but it did have like a berry flavor, and yet it had kind of like a pepper flavor to it. Can't really say it had any sweetness. It's so small to tell. You'd have to eat a handful of them. What I can say is that it does have a little bit of heat, but it's very, very low for that pepper. I guess if you eat a handful of them, that number would go up. But that one pepper, heat-wise, like maybe 50, something like that. It was just really low. It was just, you know, virtually undetectable. But like I said, the whole thing was seeds. It was nothing. There were 7 seeds, almost full size. I don't even know how the seeds fit in that thing. And around the seeds was the gel a little bit. So it was kind of like a berry, the way it was structured on the inside. That's why I was saying it even tastes like a berry a little bit. But it had all seeds in it. And the skin, there was really nothing to the skin. Little burst of flavor, and then it was gone. So there's really not much to it. You can eat them. They are edible, obviously. But, I mean, they're more probably grown for a nostalgic reason. Or if you're a botanist and you want to grow this for that particular variety, that's really what I grow it for. I mean, I don't really grow it to eat those little tiny little peppers. I just find it a very interesting variety to grow, and it's one of the landrace varieties of peppers that you kind of need when you're doing bridging, when you're crossing over different varieties of peppers with others. Sometimes you need that bridge to create that genetic crossover. And this is one of the plants you would want to use to do that, because Eximium are able to cross-pollinate with certain species that other species can't cross-pollinate. So you need the Eximium gene in there to get these 2 other species to cross-pollinate. So it's a bridging. I use it for bridging, and I'll get more into that later on down the road. I'll talk a little bit more about crossing and what you'd want to do with that. But that's really all the purpose that I grow for, is just for that reason. There's really, I mean, you're not really going to want to grow these for food production or anything like that. It's really just a nostalgic thing. And it's quite interesting. If you're really into peppers, this is probably one of the peppers you'd want to grow and learn how to grow and learn more about peppers, that type of thing. So I would recommend that you do grow this pepper in the future. So ain't much else to say about this particular pepper variety. I will grow it again next year, hopefully in some different conditions, and we'll be able to see, you know, its full production and the full size of the plant. Now, I would imagine this plant can probably get to 5-6 feet tall and produce tens of thousands of these peppers. It's that type of plant. So you really got to kind of play around with it, where you're going to plant it and then grow it and stuff like that. But as this plant acclimatizes or acclimates to my environment and colder weather, this plant will be able to produce peppers that are more climatized to colder weather. So it'll grow much better in North America. This is I believe a South American pepper. It might be Brazilian. It could be Peru. I'm not sure. It could even be Bolivia. I'm not entirely sure about that, but it is one of those peppers that can be a challenge to grow. If it's easy to grow for the Eximium or any of the landrace varieties, probably the easiest, but it can still be a challenge to try to acclimatize it and stuff like that. So anyway, that was it for your 19198 pepper review. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.